Hey, what's up guys? Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. Now 2021 was a great year for Masters of the Universe. There's no doubt that we had a ton of great figures. Still, not everything was fantastic. And following up on my video of the top 5 best MOTU Origins figures of 2021, here's my video for the top 5 most disappointing MOTU Origins figures of the year. Now, I'm calling these the most disappointing figures of the year, but not the worst. Because most of the figures still do have a lot going for them, but from my viewpoint, proved to be letdowns in some critical areas. But hey, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, it's important to remember that this is still Masters of the Universe. And even when it's disappointing, it's still awesome. Okay? So, what say we get into the list, guys? Here's my look at the top 5 most disappointing MOTU Origins figures of 2021. At number 5, Ramman. Okay, I know what you guys must be thinking. What the hell, Ken? Ramman was a solid release. And no doubt, the Origins figure is a tremendous improvement over the original vintage figure. The enhancements to the figure's detailing are great, front to back and top to bottom. Pretty awesome stuff here. For sure. He gets 2 fantastic head sculpts, a vintage styled one, and another one that comes with an armored faceplate that we've never seen before. He gets double the weaponry with a vintage style axe and also an all-new double-bladed axe. All that stuff's awesome, but the main area I felt this figure was a huge letdown and a big step backwards from the original figure is in its action feature. The original had a spring-loaded head ramming feature that was activated by a button located on the back of the figure's right leg. You see that? Now this way you could direct the figure at your target and launch an attack. Pow! Just like that. Now the new figure is spring-loaded as well, but you're supposed to just press him down and then press him again to have him sort of like just hop around in his spot like a rabbit. You know, it ends up looking a bit comical, don't you think? Because Ramman is supposed to be a human battering ram, not a pogo stick. Now the spring-loaded feature on the vintage figure mostly got the job done, but it wasn't particularly strong enough. Now the new Origins Ramman would have been an excellent opportunity to revisit this feature, but they went in a different direction, which I honestly find just so frustrating. And that's why Ramman earns the top 5 spot of the biggest MOTU Origins disappointments for 2021. Number 4, Cronus. Cronus to me was a much anticipated figure that was also released as part of the Rise of Evil 2-pack with Prince Keldor. Now this was the original face of Trapjaw before he became Skeletor's main mechanical monstrosity. However, the actual figure itself sure turned out to be somewhat underwhelming. There's quite a fair bit of parts reused from the first version Origins Trapjaw figure, but I don't know, somehow I just feel that Cronus looks really scrawny here, especially from the waist down. He gets one weapon accessory, which is a recolored laser rifle from the Castle Grayskull weapons rack. Nothing really wrong with that, but an original and unique weapon would have been nice. Maybe even more than one weapon? Maybe variations of the weapons that he would use later on as Trapjaw. How about that? The biggest problem with this figure for me is the face sculpt. Now this was the main draw of the figure, his non-mechanical original face that truly distinguished him from his rebirth as Trapjaw. And I can't help but feel that they just messed it up. Okay, everything about the expression, from the eyes to the mouth, it just looks off. Okay, I mean, we've seen some really great facial sculpts from Mattel in the MOTU line. A range of expressions from angry to maniacal. This one, however, for me, looks kind of a bit ridiculous. Another big part of the reason I feel Cronus really stands out as a disappointment is that he gets back together for release with the infinitely superior Keldor figure, which had one of the best face sculpts of the year and a ton of accessories to go with him. Now Cronus is supposed to be the master of weapons, and he just gets one lame gun. Anyway, I do hope that the facial sculpt on this guy is revisited sometime in the future. Number 3, Stinkor. Stinkor is one of those figures that has achieved something like mythical urban legend status in Masters of the Universe. One of those really daring toys from the 80s that actually came with an unpleasant odor that was mixed into the plastic on purpose by the manufacturer to work as the figure's main action feature. When it was mentioned that Stinkor would be re-released in Origins with its unpleasant odor feature intact, everyone was excited, okay, because those of us who never had a fresh Stinkor figure from the 80s were curious as hell, okay. But when the figure finally arrived in hand, it turned out that this much hyped repulsive odor that the figure was reported to have, I mean, this whole feature was really mostly just some bullshit. The figure itself is pretty well executed. It uses Merman's body from head to toe, only repainted as a demonic looking skunk. Okay, we also get an early glimpse of the body armor that will later be reused on Mechanic if Origins lasts long enough to get to him. He also gets a big bright blue shield, no other weapons of any kind, no stink spray gun or anything like that. But what you do have on hand makes for a pretty impressive update of the figure. But like I said, where Origins Stinkor falls flat is in its falsely reported odor attack action. Now to be fair, the figure has the faintest whiff of something that smells like bad cologne, but it's very faint and nowhere close to generating the reaction that this person in the packaging illustration has. Okay, this person is like, oh, that smell, get it away. Well, no, okay, the toy won't make you do that, alright? So this, in fact, is false advertising. I kind of feel that Mattel held back a lot in really applying a scent that would be regarded as something truly unpleasant on the figure. But then, why even have the feature advertised? Okay, just release the figure as it is. Now, this figure to me is one of the bigger disappointments because of the hype surrounding it and what I feel is the company's failure to deliver on it. Number 2, the Lords of Power Beastman. Now, my full review on the Wave 6 Lords of Power Beastman figure from some months back pretty much covers extensively just why exactly this figure was a huge disappointment for me. I'll include the link for that video in the description, so just in case you guys haven't checked it out already, go give it a spin and help me drive the views up to 100,000, okay? Yeah, something like that. How is it that Beastman doesn't have creature feet? Okay, why does he have human feet? Are those red pumas that he's wearing? Anyway, this figure overall just sucks, okay? That's why you saw that Toy Store Hunt video from me a while back with so many of him still on shelves. Okay, now there was a Lots of Power version of Beastman included in an earlier set which had a far better paint job. Now this one looks like it was just rushed out. The face sculpt on Beastman looks like it could have turned out so much better if they had just put a little bit more work on him, alright? Why is his teeth bright yellow in the first place? Also, the interior of his mouth needs to be more than just a black hole. Okay, why can't we see more things in there like a tongue? And the fact that his eyes are barely visible doesn't do him any favors either. Now, Beastman's armor and buckle are pretty nice additions, but they would have worked better if they had just added some variations to the paint, or even applied some paint shading, for such a feral looking creature. I mean, we've seen paint shading on characters like the Sorceress. They can do it. Without the armor on, okay, it doesn't help that Beastman's entire body is just one solid blanket of red. Kind of like Sissy Spacek being drenched with blood at the end of Carrie. Okay, also just one accessory piece, okay, one piece of weaponry for him to hold that would have elevated this entire figure somewhat, but they decided to skimp on that too. For the longest time, I did feel like the Lots of Power Beastman would be the most disappointing MOTU Origins figure of the year for me, but I was wrong. There is another. Number 1, MiniComic Stratos. To me personally, MiniComic Stratos is one of the most pointless MOTU Origins figures released not only in 2021, but in the entire short history of the franchise to date. Seeing this figure being made actually got me feeling really down. I really didn't want to see it in the case assortment, and that also explains why it's still sealed on card. Okay, I never even bothered to open it because it's one of those figures that you know exactly what you're going to get with it. This is the same Stratos that we got earlier in the year, just with boringly repainted bits and a half-naked body. This is supposed to be Stratos based off his earlier mini-comic appearances, except that in the actual mini-comics, Stratos looks so much better. He has this feather garland type thing around his neck, like he's a visitor to Fantasy Island. If this was a true representation of the mini-comic Stratos, then that feather type thing, that garland that he's wearing, that should be there. But it's not. Most of the toy just looks like an unpainted mold. Stratos is shirtless and pantsless and rocking some serious body hair. They could have added some paint definition to make those parts stand out a little bit more. Also, if you're getting 2 Stratos figures in a year, can we at least get an exclusive accessory to go with him? How about something Stratos themed, like the Staff of Avion? Would a unique accessory piece, just one, would that drive up the cost so much? Best thing about this package is still the artwork, which gives you a glimpse of a much better world that this version of the figure exists in. And it also shows him in frenzied battle with a cool sea monster that you sure would like to see a toy made out of. Yeah, a sea monster with what appears to be whiskers. But seriously guys, screw this figure, okay? Just screw it. Alright, it's just a lazy, half-hearted attempt that feels like a quick cash grab. Now the figures overall are getting more expensive. Stop giving us filler material like this, man. Okay guys, so that's the video. That's my look at the top 5 MOTU Origins figures of 2021 that disappointed me the most. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you stayed till the end, I thank you for your time. Let me know in the comments if there were any MOTU figures from last year that you felt disappointed with. Not just from Origins, but from any MOTU line. There have been so many over the last 12 months alone. And I do appreciate your continued support as always. If you have yet to subscribe, I hope that you will consider doing so. And do help to share this video out and other videos as well, so that the channel can keep growing and that I can keep bringing you content like this. Have a great weekend and thank you.